Angelou once said, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." Change. Change is different. Change is new. Change is quavering, wondering, trembling, and still trying. Change is stepping out of your shell and facing the unknown, facing the strange, the vast, facing the uncomfortable. Before the change, in the lull of routine, steady rhythm, in the quiet leading up to the storm, where it's safe and when you're warm, when you are encircled by bliss and cradled by leaf, when the caterpillar has not yet morphed to butterfly wing, when you don't know what there could be to explore, when you can't imagine why we would hunger for more. When you are swaddled in a cocoon of safe security, complacency can become exceedingly easy, but never shedding your chrysalis means never discovering once hidden wings, never taking a risk for a dream. Does staying in comfort constrain us from growth, from taking that chance to see just how far we would go? In that case, why don't we try? Yes, one might fall, but what if one flies? Still, taking flight doesn't happen just like that. There'll be hardships and struggles and snares in your way. You'll find uncertainty and frustration and things that aren't what they say. You will have encounters with failure. Sometimes you will stumble and falter and even fall. There are times when that success you were waiting for, it doesn't ever arrive at all. Sometimes all that you are left with is bruised hopes and scraped knees. And sometimes the change in you happens anyways. Sometimes success isn't always the only answer, and medals are not the only key. Sometimes true growth can be a part of a journey. That's a journey that we have to dare to take. I'm not the biggest fan of uncertainty and going beyond what I'm comfortable with. But in order for us to change, in order for us to grow, we often have to step out of our comfort zones and explore the uncertain. But first of all, what exactly is a comfort zone? Well, the idea of a comfort zone originated from Robert M. Yerkes and John Dillingham Dodson. In 1908, they created the Yerkes-Dodson law, which states that as our stress levels increase, our performance levels increase, and when our stress levels decrease, our performance levels also decrease. However, this doesn't mean that extreme pressure and extreme stress equals success, because when we go beyond the stretch zone, we end up in the panic zone, which involves high levels of unhealthy stress. I think I've always tended to view comfort zones as negative, almost like prisons that I couldn't escape because I was scared. According to Dr. Abigail Brenner, a San Francisco-based psychiatrist, a comfort zone is a behavioral and emotional construct that defines the routine of our daily life and implies familiarity, safety, and security. And these are all good things, but being in a comfort zone can also mean complacency. And this is when we hide in our comfort zones, which is not what we want to do. Because if we dare to step beyond our comfort zones, if we stop being complacent, we can actually expand our comfort zones. We can become comfortable doing new things that initially were intimidating and were scary. Recently, I read in an article published by Walden University this analogy that I really liked, and it compared Newton's laws to comfort zones. So Newton's first law is that an object at rest will remain at rest unless it is acted on by an outside force. An object in motion will remain in motion unless it is acted upon by an outside force as well. And like these objects at rest, a comfort zone defines this sense of security, of peace. And this rest is good unless we only rest and we become complacent, not daring to step beyond these confines, not daring to allow ourselves to grow and pursue the unknown. As humans, we are wired to stay away from those things that are risky and challenging because we don't want to fail. It's a survival instinct. And our mindsets play a big role in whether we are brave enough to step beyond what we know. A person can have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And something that you might hear a person with a fixed mindset say is, I stick to what I know. If you have a growth mindset, this phrase would change to, I am willing to try new things. Something else a person with a fixed mindset might say is, I'm either good at it or I'm not. But if you have a growth mindset, you believe that your abilities are measured by your effort and your attitude. You can change how good you are at something with how hard you try at it, your persistence. And that's really the attitude that you need to have in order to move beyond your comfort zone and allow yourself to grow. An overarching principle that I think defines a fixed mindset is the belief that failure is the end. Once you fail, you can't go any further. And I don't think that's true, because with a growth mindset, you'll know that failure can be an opportunity to learn. And yes, failure always hurts, but that doesn't mean that we can't pick ourselves up from it and learn from that experience. Still, even if you have a growth mindset, change is difficult. It doesn't happen all at once. It takes time. When butterflies first emerge from their chrysalises, they don't just start flying all at once. Actually, once they inch out of their cocoons, their wings are wrinkled and damp, and they can't fly yet. So they wait, and they pump their wings full of this liquid called hemolymph, so that eventually they will become big, they will become strong and bright and beautiful, and they will be able to fly and soar across the sky. And I know that our metamorphosis, thankfully, doesn't require the formation of a chrysalis or wings, but just like the cycle of caterpillar to butterfly, our change takes time. And so it's important to have that patience and grace with ourselves. A lot of the time, we stay away from change because it's confusing, it's challenging, it's scary. So we don't choose that change. And yet there are times when it doesn't matter because the change comes to us. We are thrown into situations of pain and difference. And we don't get the choice of choosing whether we're going to try it out because it comes to us. But the choice that we always have is how we are going to respond to that situation. We get to choose if we will learn from the change that we have been put in. 2 years ago, my grandma had a stroke, and she lives in Malaysia, so my mom left for a while to look after her, and me and my dad stayed here in Thailand. As an only child, I've always been blessed to have a lot of love and affection from my parents. And I'm extremely close to them, so my mom has always been my confidant, the one I'm closest to, and when she was away, it was a time of change, painful change. I was worried about my grandma. I didn't know if she was going to get better. I didn't have my mom there to support me. I couldn't be there to support her. I felt lost. It was difficult. It was like a piece of my chrysalis, a piece of my caterpillar support system had been taken away. And if I had the choice, I would not have chosen that change. I would not have chosen that pain and confusion. But it came anyways, and so the choice I did get to make was how I would respond to that. And I tried my best to become a person who's more independent, who takes on responsibilities for the people she loves, and who tries to put them before herself. And that didn't happen all at once. It took time, and it was painful, but I tried my best, and I think I've grown through the change, and I am proud of that. Change is challenging, and it isn't just about going on that roller coaster that goes upside down or skydiving. That's not all it's limited to. Change can be when you try out that new thing, that little spark of potential in you flickers. It can be when you are put in situations of hurt and shifting and pain, and you persist through that. It can be so many beautiful things. So even, or rather especially when things get difficult, step out of your comfort zone. Be brave and do your best. Because if we all knew that we'd be awesome at everything, we would try everything. We don't know that we'll be awesome at everything, but still, we try. And I think that's beautiful, and that's why stepping out of our comfort zones, out of security, and exploring the uncertain and the uncomfortable is what truly takes courage. Thank you.